What is going on, everyone? AP over here at Run Pure Sports, bringing to you once again. We got the Lineup Builder Show. I'm here with my guy Rubio. Rubio, what's going on, my man? How's your Thursday treating you?
Well, it was fun yesterday. NHL was shipping 25K until about 3 minutes left, and a third string, whatever you call it, third line guy ended up scoring the empty netter to knock it a second. But we're firing on all cylinders, AP. We got a great Chiefs slate. Your Kansas City Chiefs, and it's an interesting slate, and we'll get into why here soon. But there's a lot of builds where it's very much heavily Chiefs favored. It's tough to get a lot of Broncos in your teams today, and it's going to be an interesting one, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so Kansas City, I think they've won 15 straight against the Broncos. I mean, very, very rough times for Denver. And a lot of my, like, being in Nebraska, you're either a Chiefs fan, you're either a Broncos or a Bears fan. That's typically how, like, Lincoln, Omaha is separated. A lot of my friends, huge Bronco fans, over the years, there's a period where they were just slapping my Chiefs around. Not so much anymore. I almost feel bad for them. But 10.5 line, I can't, like, my guy I've been betting with, like, he's like, oh, we're just hammering the Chiefs tonight. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't in the NFL. I can't. There's very rare situations where I can bet a double-digit favorite. It's not like I see more value. Like, Chiefs are going to win, but I see more value in the Broncos 10.5 AFC West rivalry. Even though the Chiefs have won, so many of those games are decided by one score or less. Many of the games 4 points or less. So again, you got to take that into account. And I love what we're talking about before the show, Rubio. Just the amount of 5-1s that we're getting, insane, like absolutely insane when you run that base build. But what do you want to do first? Do we want to dive in, or do we want to look back at the what does Sabersim call it? The kind of hidden gem tool, flashback contest flashback. Is that what it is?
Yep, contest flashback. We can look at the 10-9 slate between the Packers and Raiders. That was a slate that we went over, and we did very well. I thought, I had a lot of teams in the top 500. I was a 1v1 off. It was Myers over Jacobs that ended up winning it, but it was a great slate. And,
can I say one thing real quick too? Because I know you're not going to talk yourself up, but if you go back to Monday when we were doing the show, you nailed the script. You're like, all right, now if we be under on Adams, we go over on Jacoby Myers. I mean, you absolutely nailed it. And I know I got like 3 or 4 messages from members, oh, Rubio just absolutely crushed. And people want some cheese. There's me spilling my poker chips. And, but yeah, good stuff. We're going to do it again. And I already think you're like spot on with where you're going before the show. But anyways, I had to highlight your takes from Monday because they were so spot on.
Yeah, I wish that sometimes I get some issues with the contest flashbacks that we'll probably need to report in. But let's see if we can go back to Thursday even. I know that we kind of already went over this and stuff, but just to show people the tool. Because right now it's not working for that Monday night slate. But let's just see if we can pull up any slate possible. Doesn't look like it's going to be possible, AP. We're going to have to talk about the main slate. Nothing's loading on my end there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know I've been going back and forth with Jordan. I know that these kinks are going to get worked out, and this tool is going to be great. I love going back and reviewing what people did. And what I'm typically looking at is first I'm going to look at the 150. I kind of sorted out into different groups, like the top 150 guys. I'm always looking at them, what they're doing, what scripts they ran. I'm really excited for NBA. NBA is going to be really interesting with the contest flashback and looking at that, kind of the sim. What is it? The hot topic right now, sim bros versus no one ball bros. So it'll be interesting in using this tool. Everything's out there. And you want to see what I'm doing? You can go look. You want to see what Rubio's doing? You can go look at it. So a very, very nice feature. Were you pulling up the main slate, or should we let's just dive into the Chiefs slate? So you got the base build done. Walk the people through what the base build is, just because we're getting new viewers all the time. So what is a base build?
Yeah, base build, I just take the optimizer. Don't really set any rules. Mid salary at 45K is the only thing that we really care about. But we just want to see where the optimizer thinks is going to happen. Where are the most points are projected to come from, right? Because the optimizer spits out the top 150 scoring teams. One thing that you'll immediately notice, keep captain right here. So I like to see where the trends are going and stuff. And we don't see Russell Wilson or Travis Kelce or even Mahomes until about the 7% range. So it shows me that the optimizer is trying to spit out cheap captains because it's trying to fit all these studs, because we have a ton of uncertainty in the middle range. When we sort by salary, you're going to see that it becomes even more apparent. Let me go ahead and filter out any of the players who aren't projected at all, so that way we can just have an easier way of viewing stuff. I like to do 0.75 because anyone can catch a pass and Showdown would be optimal, especially on a slate like this where it's pushing a lot of cheap captains. But one thing that you'll notice is just this mid-tier is really weak, and you're going to have a lot of concentrated ownership probably on the Chiefs defense and the kickers tonight, because there's just not a whole lot of options. Like, can you trust McKinnon? He'll definitely get a couple red zone looks. Can you trust any of these wide receivers here, the Broncos, 7K and up? I don't know. Can you trust the Chiefs wide receivers? No. So it's going to push a lot of stars and scrub builds. And I mean, that's what I like seeing what the optimizer's pushing and stuff, because if it's pushing cheap captain, I just want to know why. And you're seeing a lot of builds like this where honestly doesn't look that bad, but it's a clear funnel. I mean, if you're running this lineup, you know, Justin Watson looked really good last game. I mean, you're running this lineup, though, it probably dupes itself. God, like over 150, 200 times, you'd think, right, AP?
Right. And so a couple things. Tim, welcome back. Appreciate you watching. I remember this. The first show that we did, we talked about Chiefs showdown slates. What is a common theme in Chiefs showdown slates? The captain pool, in my opinion, typically fairly simple. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's the opposing quarterback if it's a Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen type, Joe Burrow too. I would put those guys up there. It's Travis Kelce captain, or an opposing wide receiver like a Justin Jefferson, like your stud types. Like, I already fundamentally see issues with the Justin Watson captain. I just don't see that happening, and that's going to be a popular build route. So we can already start to make some slight adjustments there, because like Justin Watson literally, like, what, he gets 2 to 3 downfield targets a game, but he's not like a constant go-to guy. I mean, the Chiefs are very transparent with what they're doing right now. They're establishing it with Pacheco, getting him tough yards. And if Pacheco breaks one like he did against the Vikings for 55 yards, 2 minutes into the game, then yeah, you want Pacheco. Is he gonna, how often has he done that? He doesn't do it too often. So I am sold on Mahomes, Kelce as captain options. Kelce has historically put up great numbers in this rivalry against the Broncos too. But again, I think it's everything else is kind of up in the air, like Sky Moore. And like, it's so difficult. You could even have a situation where Noah Gray vultures, in the end zone too. Like with the Chiefs, there's so much uncertainty, yet there is a lot of certainty in Mahomes and Kelce, if that makes sense. So a lot of the puzzle is figuring out, what do we do with the other side of this game? What do we do with Russ, Jerry Jeudy, Sutton, and these guys? I think that's the important part of tonight's script.
Yeah, 100%. And I just want to kind of reference this here. We use the leverage tab here just to show you like what the Opto is spitting out. It's projected about 21% ownership for Mahomes in the captain slot, 13% for Kelce, 12% for Pacheco. If that says anything, it tells you that those studs relative to a Chiefs slate are going really under-owned, right? It feels like every time Mahomes takes the field, he's about 33, 35% captain, right? Now we get that at almost 2/3 of that. Kelce, same way. And a lot of that is because the builds just don't really want you to fade Pacheco. And if we fade Pacheco, then your builds unlock a lot. I'm a big Russell Wilson guy today. We'll get into that in a little bit too. But yeah, I just wanted to see where the base build was going. And then that way, when I inputted some of my biases in there, we go over the bias projections all the time for NBA that you do, stuff that I think is going to happen. And you'll see here, I bumped down Kelce and Mahomes just a bit, not a ton, because I know the Broncos defense is not great. I gave Russell Wilson a slight bump, I believe. Yep. And Jeudy a slight bump. Sutton a little bit of a downgrade with the matchup that he's got. And I kind of bumped up just some of these cheap guys. And one of my favorite cheap guys today, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So what you're going to see here is this sim that I did, 150 teams. Look how many of these are 5-1s. That is absurd. AP, were you expecting to get on here today and seeing 47% 5-1s, all of them Chiefs stacks?
I mean that's insane. And it just, if you think about what Kansas City does, I don't like it at all, because they're already a team that we avoid on main slate. So just like think about that. Why do we avoid them outside of Travis Kelce and Mahomes on main slates? They're so unpredictable. Like Noah Gray, what was it? Noah Gray gotten, like, he's what, 2 touchdowns on the year? Like he probably has more. Like MVS has been terrible. Noah Gray has more touchdowns than MVS. I mean, you got a 3 running back rotation. Yes, Pacheco is the main guy, and they should work him here. But like, yeah, I'm with you. And look, man, I'm a Chiefs homer. We all know that. I also know that this, like, you throw the Broncos are cheeks. They're bad. They're not good. I think we see a game tonight. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Look, like, I do have some concerns, and I get why. Our guy Big T, I check the bets all the time, and I love our guy Big T, but he loves betting against the Chiefs, and I understand what he's doing and why. Like, Kansas City right now doesn't look complete. They have a lot of holes. It's basically Mahomes kind of getting it done, and the refs. I will admit the refs have been very favorable to Kansas City. The last two games, especially the last game. I can admit that, and arguably a bad beat, them not covering last game. But I think tonight, I see a game tonight, and you can build that into your scripts. Like the Broncos, I mean, the Jets defense is solid, and they put up 21 points. I mean, you got to think that they're going to find a way to get it done in this game. They've been embarrassed for too long against this Kansas City team. They're going to show up. It's a short week. On short weeks on these Thursday games, you got to throw a lot out of the window. There's always so much uncertainty, and these games always seem to play different than everyone expects it. So I see a ton of value in Denver scripts. I see a ton of value in the Denver side from a betting standpoint. I could eat my words here, but again, I think 10.5 points in a divisional rivalry game, no matter who it is too much in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you're going to see a lot of ownership on the Chiefs tonight. And you'll see here, this is just the 5-1s that I have highlighted. A few of them have a Denver cap, just a couple actually. But all these are just Kelce, Mahomes, Pacheco, just like onslaught scripts, right? So one thing to kind of check is where's the one kind of settling at? Well, a lot of it's just Will Lutz, Russell Wilson, Jerry Jeudy. It's kind of gross, right? But I think also why these 5-1s are popping is because of the uncertainty with the Denver side of the ball too. Not only do we have uncertainty with the Chiefs, like you just mentioned, with a bunch of those guys being able to get targets, but you look at the Broncos. I mean, Jeudy is what is he, 9K, right? That's very high for his production, what it's been this year. Obviously, we know his potential and stuff, but that's just such a high tag. Javonte Williams, coming off injury. Jaleel McLaughlin has been stealing work even when they were both healthy. And then you have Samaje Perine down here. You have 3 running backs who are all priced above 5K for the Broncos. So it's leaving you into these funnels where, okay, you don't want Sutton. You don't really love Jeudy. The running backs aren't optimal plays in the end-all be-all. So it's going to leave a lot of people to like Greg Dulcich or Adam Troutman. It's a gross range, to be honest. And it's not fun. And that's why a lot of these, 5-1s are materializing to where unless you play the kicker or something, you're going to be left guessing. And Marvin Mims Jr., if he just gets playing time, but it doesn't seem like the Broncos coaching staff, Broncos coaching staff, Sean Payton doesn't want to play him, it seems, right? So I understand why the 5-1s are popping, and I do want to check it out when we ruled out the 5-1s like I just did here on the other build, is I want to see where the second Broncos are really forming. You'll see 71% of the teams are 4-2. There's a lot of 3-3s. Where is the ownership falling on these Broncos? It's a ton of Lutz. You're going to be completely overweight on Lutz. You're going to be over double the field. You're going to be over the field on Troutman. And I imagine Russell Wilson, you're going to be completely over the field. Yeah. So these builds, in a sense, just aren't sexy, AP, but it does give you these like little bits of combos with like Mims, Sutton, Jeudy, McLaughlin. It's gross, but it's definitely there. It's just uncomfortable. Yeah, I think both sides, it's uncomfortable. And a lot of people, we talk about 5-1s being overowned. Could you see the Chiefs 5-1s being 35% tonight? I think I could.
Yeah, I think I could too. Let's get it. Let's review the projections. I want to review them on the Kansas City side and mainly looking at the receivers.
Let me go ahead and filter out the bad players real quick, or the players who are not going to play.
Anyone could do this by highlighting the Kansas City side, doing a filter right here, focusing on the receivers.
Let's do tight ends too, just pass catchers.
Yeah, receiver. Yep. So, right, and we haven't adjusted these, right? Or did you adjust them?
I adjusted them just slightly, and
just slightly.
I upped Rashee Rice just a bit. I kept Justin Ross at a reasonable projection too, and Justin Watson too. So these aren't completely adjusted, but they're definitely fiddled with.
Let me go over what the Kansas City receiving corps has done year to date. So Sky Moore, three fantasy, and I'm going to talk in DraftKings scoring. 3.1, 1.9, 8.2. He had a game of 16, and then 0.4. That was the first game with all those drops that the receiving corps had. NVS, 2.2, 1.6, 4.7, 3.3, 6.8. Rashee Rice, who I like. This is going to be the guy. He's definitely been more the guy. Very stable. He has some drop. He had a drop last week and the week before, but he's definitely going to be their guy. 13-3, 6'2", 10-9, 4, 11-6. You got Kadarius Toney. What a bust. 6 targets last week, but 7-7, 4-2, 0.9, 8-8, 1. That first game. Then you got Justin Watson, 7-6, 1-5, 7-1, 8-2, 6-5. Then you got Justin Ross, who I like. Kansas City Nation loves. Again, he had 2 big drops last week, but 4.8 on 4 targets, 0, 0, 0, 1.6. I mean, it's outside of what, Rashee Rice? I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And the Denver side isn't that much better. Javonte Williams, is he? So, all right, I'm looking at this right now. What should we do? We should, MVS. I mean, I don't know. He's probably fine right there, right? We don't want to full fade him. Justin Watson, I think we're a little high on because at 2,200, 5.6 projection, he's going to hit a ton. I mean, I would almost take him down to he could end up with 1 catch for 27 yards.
Let's give him the touchdown equity. We'll do 3-1-3.
I mean, Noah Gray, Sky Moore. I mean, these projections, and again, and maybe we bump up Justin Ross. They got him involved. Yep. And again, it would be more of a Casey onslaught. But if you just look at this, a lot of what our builds are going to look like are going to come down to what do we think the Denver side is going to do? That's going to be so important. Outside of Kelsey, outside of Mahomes, in my opinion.
And let's go back to the Denver side is Dulcich here. It's tough to get him in with contest sims because he's not rolled in. He's not given any ownership or anything like that. But Dulcich could affect Troutman, and that's something to kind of note. If Dulcich
is he off the IR?
He's designated to return. He has a full practice on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, he's playing then.
I think so, too.
Right? Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I like him, though. I mean, They need that threat. They need a lot, but I guess it's him or Troutman, right?
I mean, he's going to be on a snap count almost surely, right? So both receiving options for both teams suck, like in terms of just stability, right? But if we're talking strictly from a tournament perspective, I mean, the guy that I probably have the most interest on from Kansas City, other than Rashee Rice, because I'm with you, but even then, he's 6,400. I know we love to hate on him from the first game and stuff, but Kadarius Toney is only 4K now. I mean, that's noteworthy. He's definitely a guy. When in the game, he had 40% of the snaps last week. And when in the game, he can score. He's electric. He can get 4 for 40 and a touchdown. I mean, we're not looking for much. What we need him to do is we need him to, A, outscore the kickers, and B, outscore anyone else in this range where this is a weak range. It's a weak slate. So Kadarius Toney makes the most sense for me out of these guys because he definitely has talent. If he just catches the ball, man, it's hard not to beat a lot of these guys in this range. And we'll even bring up just not wide receivers and stuff, but just everyone. So you guys can see his projection is going to be strong. He has the highest projection. For me, he's ahead of both kickers and stuff, or ahead of Lutz, just behind Butker. But he's the highest projected guy under 5K outside of Butker. So Tony's probably going to be the guy who pops the most.
I like that. one thing, just can we pull up the Broncos? Actually, what do we have for Kelsey and Mahomes, and then Pacheco?
So Kelsey, we have 19.
Mahomes 23. Yeah, yep.
Yep, and then captain-wise, you can kind of get
Pacheco, I would almost bring down slightly. And I like it. It's that projection right there is definitely factoring a touchdown, and he's got 3 touchdowns in a row. And this is a guy that struggled to find the end zone last season. So, like, is this a real thing now, or I mean, is it just a function of one of the games was he broke off a 55-yarder? I mean, I love Pacheco, but I'm also factoring in you got McKinnon, you got CEH, and these guys are going to steal some snaps from him. So maybe under slightly. What's your thoughts on that?
So I think if we go even lower, we're going to fade him quite a bit under the field. So we're already under the field, even when I bumped up his projection 1 point. So I bumped it up purely because the Broncos suck against running backs, right? But you're right. Touchdown variance could definitely not go his way. He is going to be completely overowned. Like, I think you're going to see a ton of ownership. And you're exactly right. Even against the Bears, McKinnon scored once, Pacheco scored, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire scored. There's a decent chance that Pacheco could score, but might not get a brunt of the work on a short week, right? So let's theorize that. So let's bump him down. Let's get him all the way down to 14.25. So that way we're still getting a little bit, but we're definitely going to be under the weight on the field. I already bumped up Edwards-Helaire just a bit, but huge fan of his tonight. I think the best value play on the slate. We'll organize it by salary. I just want to, it's gross playing Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I get it. But first game without a catch was last week. He had 15 carries against the Bears. A lot of that was in the second half, but his touchdown and a few of his carries occurred in the first half. So not the end of the world in that sense, right? I think that he's guaranteed touches, and a lot of these guys aren't really. I wouldn't trust Brandon Johnson with Judy fully back healthy and stuff. Watson and Ross, I mean, that's tough to trust them. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire has the most secure role, and if he gets into the box, it's hard not to see him getting optimal. So we'll bump up Edwards-Helaire, and we're going to bump up McKinnon too, just because that's a really low projection. We know he's a red zone guy. We're not going to get a ton of him because even with a touchdown, there's a chance he's not optimal. But we'll make that adjustment there. Anyone else that you're seeing that you want to bump up, AP?
On the Kansas City side, or
either or?
Yeah, let's go to. I like where we're at with Kansas City. Let's go. Let's highlight the Denver side because I think I know what you're getting at with Russell Wilson and what I've seen from him, which is what the Denver Nation, what you guys want. He's starting to run the ball, and this is going to be again another spot tonight where he needs to use his legs. 7 rush attempts against the Jets, 4 against the Bears, 6 against the Commanders. That's what he needs to do. Almost 50 yards on the ground last week. It just opens a lot up for them. I think they're going to need him to get it done too on the ground this week. So for me, I really like double quarterback builds. I know it's going to be popular. It always is. But I bet a lot of those 5-1s, probably Russell Wilson as the one, and then random Chiefs dudes.
Yep.
So now it comes down to so Javonte Williams, he's back, right?
Yes.
Limited at all, or was he a full go in practice?
Let me get a look at that for you real quick.
Because like Jaleel McLaughlin has looked pretty good.
Yes.
I mean, 6.7 yards per carry last week, 10.3 against the Bears. I mean, he's caught balls out of the backfield. He's found the end zone.
Full participant for Javonte, by the way. So he's good to go.
Wow. Then you got P. Ryan, who's just he's a veteran.
Yeah.
Obviously was a stud for your Bengals. And he had a big game. Do you remember that game he had against the Chiefs?
Oh, yeah.
Was it 2 years ago? I mean, he nuked, absolutely nuked with the Bengals. He's been getting, oh my gosh. What do we do with the running backs on the Broncos side?
I think it's safe to almost pool them together in a sense of how many points do we expect from the running back position? How much points have they been getting and stuff? And a great way to look at this too, as I love using the positional matchup sheet on the Run Pure Sports website that our guy Sensational puts together, is where are the Chiefs conceding points at too? And one thing that you'll find is that Kansas City's defense, as you've been noting all year, has definitely improved, but Kansas City is also really strong against running backs. So I don't really love these guys, despite them being capable pass catchers and stuff. So even at like 10, you give Javonte 10, which is, 4 catches or whatever, maybe 50 yards on the ground. Maybe that's a little bit low, but I still have to, mention that Jaleel McLaughlin has been stealing touchdowns, even when both Javonte and P. Ryan are both in. And I think this is a safe pool together, man. This is a lot of PPR points too. This is DraftKings scoring. So I think you're higher on them than on DraftKings. I haven't seen their prices on FanDuel just yet, but Kansas City has been really good against running backs. And I don't really expect that to change unless they're just doing a lot of dump offs today.
I think they get Nick Bolton back tonight too, which is huge. One of their kind of like main glue guys at the linebacker position, coordinates everything. Trent McDuffie's been so good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this guy's playing way above his head right now. He's been extremely special against the run. It's just crazy. He just has that natural feel. And then obviously Chris Jones. Yeah, I mean, what's the total of this game? 47.5? I mean, I could see this just being an ugly. This is a tough one tonight because it's like I see value on the Denver side, 10.5. They got to be able to move the ball somehow. It has to be Russell Wilson, running the ball a little bit, maybe rotating the running backs with Javonte back. I mean, versus what Jaleel McLaughlin's been doing, has to be some sort of like committee by committee rotation, right?
Almost has to. I'm going to check their week 3 snap counts too, and then I'll break it down after you're done.
We all like Javonte Williams. I mean, our guy JSU loves him some Javonte Williams.
God, yeah.
But what do you do when you got a guy like Jaleel McLaughlin who's been really shining as well? So I don't know. Javonte Williams hasn't been that great on the year. Maybe it's battling. Like, I don't mind just under projecting him relative to where kind of the industry's at and slightly over projecting P. Ryan and McLaughlin. I mean, it's a Thursday short week slate.
Yeah.
I mean, we see random stuff happening. And then it's, the other decision is tight ends, between Troutman and then who's the receivers that we like?
Yeah, it's gross. And just to kind of hammer down the point to follow up on it, week 3 was the last time all 3 running backs were completely healthy. Javonte Williams led the backfield at 42%, P. Ryan 31%, and then Jaleel McLaughlin 21%. Just to show you how gross that backfield is, right? That is just not a fun situation to be a part of. Then, we keep talking about it and stuff, but it almost feels gross when you look at the total. You're like, how is it 47.5? But I also feel like we're letting DFS kind of construct our thoughts, right? Like, it sucks to play these guys, but Vegas is projecting for points. So maybe I should give more respect to these Denver Broncos guys. Maybe just in general, like, Judy, who's being underprojected by everyone. I mean, it's not, we're not galaxy braiding it. This is actually a bump up on its projection, and we're hardly getting any as it is. It's interesting. I don't really know how else to put it. I mean, Brandon Johnson hitting 8% of the teams despite like 1 target. I know he's 1,200, but it is funny how this is all panning out. And Troutman could be the chalk even with Dulcich back. And it could be Dulcich on a limited snap count too. It is just a gross situation. And that's what makes us like think, there's not going to be points, because it's just gross in general for DFS.
I feel more confident in Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton from a floor perspective than all of the Chiefs receivers, except for when you factor in price. I do feel pretty good about Rashee Rice. But when you just are talking about floor to ceiling production and factoring in game script, I do feel better about Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. So I can already envision like a 2-4 build to Kansas City for Denver Broncos, like being on the winner with the Mahomes or Kelsey captain. I think, like, let's go over to the captains. This is something we like to do. I want to eliminate all of the Chiefs captains except for Mahomes and Kelsey, and I'm torn on Pacheco. I don't want, like, it's just been such a strong trend over the years. I'm looking at it right now. Mahomes, Kelsey, McKinnon, and then Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, opposing quarterbacks. So, like, for me, Mahomes, Kelsey, I think Russell Wilson, a viable captain, like maybe pretty contrarian. I don't think a lot of people will go there, but and then one of like probably Jerry Jeudy. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I am with you in that sense where it is just kind of gross, right? So you want to keep Williams, Wilson, Sutton, and Jeudy in? Or
yeah, well,
or not Javonte.
Yeah, not Javonte.
Okay.
No, not the. I don't. With how like we have each side has 3 running backs that all could factor into the mix. I want certainty at the captain spot.
Yes,
the certainty for me is Mahomes, Kelsey, Russ. Obviously, I like Mahomes, Kelsey more, but Russ, and then it's got to be like a Jerry Jeudy type. I don't think. I'm always so much lower on kickers too. Outside of a Thursday game, those are a little different. But kickers against Kansas City, these teams are getting sharper. They're not kicking field goals as often. Against this Chiefs team, I'm under on kickers, but it is a Thursday game. I'm not basically kicker captain. I'm not considering for me. I don't know about you, but is there anyone else at the captain spot that you think we're missing?
There's one guy. And you're not gonna like it. No, you might like it. Just for fun.
I like money. I know I love my team, but again, if we are right on a Broncos script and the Broncos win tonight, I'm not going to be a little bitch in chat and like crying and moaning because my team lost. I'll be celebrating because we'll be collected cheese, man.
I genuinely like Clyde Edwards-Helaire tonight if he got into the box, right? And I know cheap captain isn't really normally the move, right?
Oh, but I mean, you lost me there.
I know. I said you might not like it,
but it might happen now.
It's not
like
bad.
Okay. So again, like our styles are a little contrasting. You're 115 the milli. I'm more of a 3 max single entry type of player. So when I talk through my captains right there, I fully have my 3 max strategy in mind when I'm doing that. But when you're talking 150 and when you're specifically talking the milli maker up top, yeah, man, I think it's a Thursday. I think it's a AFC West rivalry game. We could see some crazy shit happen tonight. So I'll allow it. This one time, I'll allow
it. So one last Clyde Edwards-Helaire push. Actually, no, never mind. But
I agree with you, my man. I agree with you, but I think it's going to be a decent game. That's all I'll say.
I just don't know if I can get rid of 5-1s today. I don't know. This is from a 150. I think 4-2, and I think 5-1 is going to be the most popular route in cash too, no doubt about it. Because you're looking at it, you can get some sick lineups, and I think Pacheco captain actually comes in really high owned. I think even 12% is kind of low just because what he did against the Jets last Chiefs slate, right? Then all of a sudden you have to factor in that the Broncos have been the second worst team against the running backs, right? I think the worst one has been Carolina. So just a perfect storm for it's been the Denver Broncos. Yeah, so the perfect storm for Pacheco captain to get there. And there's some good leverage, especially in tournaments going like Clyde Edwards-Helaire and stuff. And if the Chiefs do blow out the Broncos like some people think, then I think you have to lock in Clyde Edwards-Helaire because the last blowout the Chiefs had, Clyde Edwards-Helaire carried the rock 15 times. And I think he also got 2 catches in that game. If you're projecting a blowout, swallow your pride and play Clyde Edwards-Helaire tonight because I think that's the most obvious correlation is that we don't want to damage our really good running back and Pacheco, and we're going to give CEH a lot of work, and we might be up 17-21 in the fourth quarter. Perfect storm for the 5-1 is CEH.
So my guy Bruno, let's look at this. It looks so, yeah, and again, I'm 2.5 hours north of Kansas City. It's windy and the weather's shitty here today. It's cold. It's windy. Looking at it right now, it looks like wind gusts close to 30 was sustained around 15. I mean, Kansas City doesn't really throw downfield that much anymore. I don't think it really impacts the Kansas City passing game. I mean, when they do throw it, like it's MVS down there, but he doesn't do anything. Maybe a slight impact. With NFL, I don't know. I don't factor in weather too much unless it's just insane. Do you have any thoughts on 30-mile-an-hour winds? I mean, Or I mean, Gus 15 sustained could obviously change.
Yeah, I think in this case, I think Vegas
Yeah,
will react with the total. So yeah, not the worst thing in the world to factor it in if you want to downgrade kickers just slightly or whatever, and maybe the passing game just slightly. But yeah, it's Mahomes after all. The win doesn't really affect him too much. But yeah, I don't mind if it gets worse. If we're expecting like huge gusts and stuff, like bet the under. But I also think we're in the state where the DFS slate is so gross as it is with all these like mediocre options that the weather really won't influence my decisions there because I'm already kind of grossed out by the slate.
yeah. Our guy, he's gonna think I'm not like a KC homer since I was talking up Bronco scripts, but a short week. Yeah, so this kind of supports even more the thought in larger field tournaments of integrating more CEH into the lineup. So I agree with that. Let's I think we have this built up. Can we just check one more time, like Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, what we have? Like, I want them for this script, and it kind of fits what we think is going to happen, playing from behind. I want them slightly over Rashee Rice, and then Rashee Rice, kind of that second guy, as long as you agree with that.
Oh, I definitely agree with
Jeudy,
you there.
okay, so can you go to the flex?
Flex, perfect.
So I don't have to do the 1.5 times math on the spot.
Let's just do wide receivers. Let me get that up for you.
So Jeudy 12-1. I think let's be slightly over on Jeudy, Sutton, and Russ.
Perfect.
Kind of fits that script. What I'm thinking is Kansas City up by 10. Like, I could just envision Kansas City comfortably ahead, but not fully, like not up by like 21 or anything like that. You get a late touchdown by Denver. All the people that were on KC minus 10.5 get all tilted again. Denver covers late. You get a late garbage time touchdown. Jerry Jeudy maybe. I don't know. I mean, Russ is going to play the whole game either way. I mean, when Russ is in there in the final, when the Miami game is 70 to like 14, and Russ is still in there fourth quarter cooking. I mean, it's
cooking.
They're not.
That's good.
They're not. I mean, it was funny. The sideline, like where he's mic'd up, was so funny. They're just getting like demolished, and he's like still trying to like pump up his team.
Yeah, God. Let's see here. We got
let's rerun this, and then let's introduce the contest sims. Or yeah, you already did.
Boom. We get more Jeudy, more Rice, and then Sutton there in that range. And then when we go to captain, let's check that out. We're at 12% Jeudy captain, which is definitely overweight to the field. It's double the
sort it by highest exposure. Yeah,
perfect. Let's take a look at some of these Jeudy teams too. Rashee Rice captain, believe it or not, with Sutton and Wilson. I don't know if I'd want to pair Sutton and Wilson or Sutton and Jeudy together, but that's what it's spitting out right now. I really like this one. I mean, this one's kind of nice too. There's some good Jeudy teams here, but I think like you're going to notice a theme here. How much Pacheco do you think we're getting? I think we're getting minimal amount of Pacheco in these teams, which kind of goes against the script, but we also underprojected Pacheco in this situation. And we are getting one lineup with Pacheco out of 37 Jeudy teams. So that's surprising to me, but it is interesting, kind of that little caveat there.
That is interesting. How much Mahomes and Kelsey do we have at the captain spot?
In the captain spot, we got a ton. We get 33% of Kelsey and 22% of Mahomes.
You got your CEH in there. So
that little splash, that little sprinkle.
You already ran the contest sims and sorted by risk adjusted. What happens when we introduce some uniques?
Let's do it. So last game, I actually ran only one unique. It was with Patrick Taylor when that value opened up. Thought Taylor was a really good value play. He wasn't bad, but it ultimately ended up being that you needed double digits from every one in your lineup last game. So this slate, I think I might do one unique just because I really value Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And there's enough value to where I'm okay getting like 8 to 10% of these really cheap guys, like, Blake Bell, for example, and stuff. I don't need to get too unique with that, but with the two uniques here, It decreases our Judy and Sutton just barely, and it introduces a whole lot of Russell Wilson with a 20% captain hit. He is projected for, let me check the ownership, 11%. So we're almost double the field on Russell Wilson in the script.
I don't mind this overall kind of allocation to the portfolio that we have here, just because we're probably going to be slightly underweight relative to the field on Mahomes and on Kelsey, but we're not fading them. They just have to be mega chalk. And the guys that we have that where we're getting a little bit different, they all have upside to an extent to where you could justify playing them at the captain spot if the script pans out like we think it will. So,
and it also goes to show too. I mean, we are even with the field, believe it or not, we're actually overweight on Mahomes just slightly too. But the main
he's gonna be, we're gonna pull it up and he's gonna be like 30, 34, 35% though.
Well, look at this.
Seems like it always happens.
Pacheco.
You think Pacheco? Oh God, you're right. I mean, people are gonna look at what Pacheco's been doing. Yeah. They're gonna look at, DVP, defense first position. How much is that game against Miami like inflating their numbers, their running back numbers? I haven't looked at that yet. I'm going to, but I mean, they rushed for like 300 yards and like 19 touchdowns.
So
insane.
I originally thought, oh yeah, that could be the case, right? But then again, Breece Hall ran all over him. Khalil Herbert had a big day. Brian Robinson went nuclear. And then week 1, Josh Jacobs sucked.
CH gonna win someone $1 million tonight.
It's gonna be me. I'm gonna split it with a lot of y'all.
Yeah, I'm in now. Just with I gotta steal your script and run it.
And this is like, I do want to stress, if you think it's going to be a closer game and stuff like that, CH isn't the best value in that situation, right? I think it could be, one of those wide receivers that pop up. But if you think the Chiefs are going to cover, I don't see how you can't play Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because I think in that case, short week, as we saw someone in the chat mention that, you'd almost be inclined to think that he's going to get 5+ touches, which for 1K, I'm taking that all day. But there's a chance he gets 10+, 15+, like we saw against the Bears too. So, yeah, I know I'm aggressive on it, but I genuinely think, if he catches a pass and stuff, it's not going to kill me if he gets 0 anyway too, which he won't. He'll still get 4 or 5 touches, but he's not going to kill me, and we need value on this slate. It's clear. And especially if I want to fit in these stud captains like we're trying to do right now.
And he was captain optimal already this season, and that was
the Bears slate?
The Bears slate. It was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, DJ Moore, Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon. Wow. 3 running. Oh, this is what we're talking about. Like, tonight's going to be, if you love crazy shit like to happen, like tonight is your slate. Now it's figuring out what, like, tonight you throw, like, if you're a person that like sets a lot of group rules and like, oh, I don't want to play this and that, throw it out the window. I would not do that. Just be like, that is an insane build. That's that's 3 running backs from the same team, plus Mahomes, Kelce, and then DJ Moore run back.
That, it's funny because I actually played that slate AP. It was a 425 game, and one of the members hit it. But what was funny as hell was that 7 minutes left. Guess what was optimal? A Bears 200 player with a 0. It was winning the contest, and until DJ Moore caught that touchdown late, that was the lineup that was winning. It was a 0 and a 5-1 script. I couldn't believe it. Definitely won't happen here. You wouldn't think that would happen here, but it is noteworthy. I mean, Chiefs, the only rule that I'm making tonight that I think that I'm committed to at this point is I'm separating Sutton and Judy, just because I think for them to both get there, you would also be fading probably one of the quarterbacks, probably Kelce or Pacheco, and that's just not my cup of tea. I think one has the ability to get there. I don't think both do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, tonight's just going to be, tonight's going to be insane. Like, because just on the other side, the running back position, so especially if it's if the game goes well under the total, I mean, it's going to be, I'm really torn on. I feel good about Mahomes, Kelce, obviously. Yeah. We got to feel good about Russ. And then it's like, who else is going to factor in? Also, are we getting any defenses? It's a Thursday game, divisional rivalry. I do think one defense is fine, that being the Chiefs, if you want to go onslaught builds. Actually, maybe in that CEH type of build, if you had a defense in there. I don't know. It would be the flex only for me. I just can't do captain defense.
You know what was funny to me is that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, when clicking this thing, he didn't correlate to the defense as much as I thought he would. Again, at Showdown, doesn't really matter too much, but I would assume that he correlates to the defense because when he does well, in the one chance he had this season, it was because of the fact that they were killing the Bears, and so that surprised me just slightly. But I would think that 5-1 with CEH paired with the defense makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm also looking. Here's the other thing too, and I have to update I still got a few games to update, and then I got to update the Denver side. But going back to last year, it was big games where we saw Harrison Butker, but I don't think we've seen him be optimal in the flex this season for Chiefs games. I don't think. I don't. Maybe the Broncos will take whatever points they can get, but I don't know. I'm not as high on the kickers here in this spot.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think it goes to the point here, though, that we kind of always say is that the wide receivers in this range, in the 4K range especially, there's not a whole lot of fun here, right? There's just not a whole lot of certainty. So I think the kickers are just fine in that sense.
So I didn't hear anything about a ticket, but it might be the next show with whistles.
Yeah.
Print Factory. So let me just review the schedule for the day real quick. We have the Print Factory, which I believe is at 2 p.m. Eastern. Then we have the Showdown Kings with JBC, Holden, and Statsational. That'll take you up to lock. I believe it's all free today too. So, right? Is that right? Making it free?
It's all free. You can find it. We have it up on the homepage as well, too. So that's nice to have. We also have the schedule there. Print Factory will definitely give out a ticket for the first time in a few weeks. We're making the Thursday night show with Showdown Kings with JVC, Statsational, Holden free. You guys can have a fun day. I know last Thursday it was JSU and Big T who both split that top prize. I think it was over 11K. So I hope to repeat it. I hope it's you and me, AP. I hope it's you and me holding hands. The Print Factory had enough fun last week.
Yeah, maybe I need to get in there. And I still, I stay so disciplined we got to do more and I could probably lead this up, but just on like bankroll management strategy, I'm a nit when it comes, and it goes back to my poker days. I play tight aggressive. I wait for my spots. I don't think I can. Tonight is such a good 150 night. I don't know. We'll see if I go the 150. What do we got there?
New hats are in. Big T has posted it. He could be giving away a hat. You never know.
I was gonna say, I don't think this hat could get any more white. Looking at it right now, it's like you almost get this glare on the screen. It's crazy. But these hats, look at this. Look, a little Nebraska on here and a little Arbor.
There was a state. I just thought it was a plain white hat.
Lucky Day. I believe they'll be giving out a ticket. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't have anything in my DMs right now. But yeah, when we ship, when Rubio and I, are holding hands at the finish line, we'll do something fun on the show next Monday. So hopefully that happens. Let's give our final thoughts. Maybe favorite. Well, we already know your favorite captain, large field captain play, and mine's boring. Mahomes, Kelsey. Let's give our take on the game, and then let's get out of here.
Yeah, I think there's two ways to play it. You either think the Broncos keep close, or you think the Chiefs kill them. I don't know what's going on with the Broncos. I genuinely worry about the whole Sean Payton thing. I think there's a lot of fractured relationships in that organization. I think the Chiefs come out, kick some ass early, and I think it brings the 5-1s into play a little bit more. But I do think Russell Wilson, with his running ability, gets it done. So I think you see a unique 5-1 where it's a naked quarterback in that 5-1, and that's Russell Wilson. So that's probably one of my favorite looks tonight. And Chiefs cover, and this game hovers around the mid-40s. Does it go over? I can't tell you that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm very similar to you. I think kind of like thinking back to the Jets game, we all thought it was going to be like some massive blowout when they went up 17-0. Chiefs, one issue right now is they keep letting teams back in. I think that's the case tonight. I think if you're a Chiefs backer, as far as the spread goes, you're going to be sweating all game, sweating a late touchdown to close that to close the gap there. So, yeah, I like the 4-2s, 3-3s. I like Russell Wilson. I like double quarterback. Hopefully we'll get some points, and it's going to be interesting. I think if you're attacking that Millie maker, get different with these running backs because I think all 6 to some extent are in play. Who does the best? Who knows at this point? I'm confident in Kelsey, though. Kelsey historically has been awesome against Denver. Confident in Mahomes and Ross. Outside of those 3 guys, I like Jerry Jeudy. I'm going to open it up a little bit, though. So that's going to be my route. If you're not a member, we do have a code, RPS15, 15% off your first payment over here at Run Pure Sports. Any and all packages. We have NBA coming up in under 2 weeks. Very excited for that. Will we have another code? To be determined. I think we will. So, yeah, NBA right around the corner. The product's going to be awesome. All of our content going to be very similar to what we did last year, 2-show format. The guys, up to lock show, always a printer, and very, very important to be on that. We all know in the NBA that injury news, rest news, all of that is so important. And yeah, they break that all down. So with that, though, Rubio, we got to get out of here. For Rubio, I'm AP. Run Pure tonight.